Sound offers perhaps some of the greatest potential in the field of health and healing. Sound was said to have been used in the ancient healing chambers of Egypt. It has been proven to improve mental acuity and help relieve depression and much more in clinical studies. And the man who has been at the center of this emerging art and science for the past 25 years is Jonathan Goldman, who says we all carry this instrument of healing with us. And first there was the Word. And nobody knows this any better than you.
In the beginning.
So you have had an incredible career in the area of sound healing. I've seen your work and heard your CDs and known bits and pieces about your work for many years now. Incredible. And really, I think people don't understand what sound actually is. Can you give us a little primer of the essence of what sound is and the things throughout history that it's actually known to have done?
Golly gee, how many hours we have?
We have about, 20, 30 minutes.
Real quick, from one perspective, sound travels as a wave. This wave is a way of measuring the sound so that we hear from around 20 of these waves that happen per second to about 20,000. But as I like to tell people, our friends in the ocean, the dolphins, can hear up to 180,000 of these waves per second, which to us there's nothing going on, yet to them they're able to probably exchange encyclopedic information.
Right.
And so therefore the concept is that what the ancients have known about, that of course a modern scientists are now understanding. The ancients would say Nada Brahman, in the beginning was the word, the world is sound, and now as Mr. Kaku said to me, everything is music. So this idea that everything is in a state of vibration. And the concept of using sound as a healing and transformative modality is as old as probably the first time that Ugg the caveman ever made a sound when he stubbed his toe and, made a tone. Mm-hmm. And that helped somehow release some of the pain. It may go back that far. Mm-hmm. And then his clansmen might have been clacking stones together and making sounds to ask for the rain gods to come and water them or whatnot, but etc. We've gotten a bit more sophisticated, but I still clack stones from time to time.
Right. And in truth, the ancients were quite sophisticated. The ancient cultures understood sound far better than we can begin to comprehend yet, because we haven't caught up to where we were. We haven't gone back to the future yet.
Right, exactly. In the ancient mystery schools of Athens, Rome, Tibet, Egypt, and whatnot, they understood that sound was the basic primordial causative force in the universe. Once again, the Word and the Lord said. All the different traditions talk about sound being the manifestation point, and we're beginning slowly to understand this.
What are some of the phenomena of the past? I'm thinking of things such as the ability to levitate items that are recounted from glory days of the past or golden ages of the past. What is sound credited for? Just kind of a little list of some of the things sound has been credited with that we would consider actually magical or phenomenal.
Well, we could say that on a level in the different traditions, sound is credited for life, the universe, and everything. From the creation of the planets to the creation of human beings. In the different traditions, an inanimate object would be created from clay, for example. Certain sacred words would be spoken over it, and all of a sudden the inanimate object would become real and be given life. And as you mentioned, levitation, and of course there's a quote from the New York Times, 1988 science section, February 8th, 1988, just so you know, it didn't come from UFO Daily. Sound, shaped into dazzling tool, can make, break, or rearrange molecular structure and levitate objects.
Yes.
So once again, if you remember building the pyramids,
that's
sound,
exactly.
You're not alone.
That's right. Well, that's kind of what I was referring to.
Yeah.
Now you're bringing sound into the realm of healing, healing not just people but cultures and society. Let's just launch off wherever you're most comfortable on that one. Where are you really focusing right now?
World healing, but really it's basically creating harmony throughout the planet using sound, intentionalized sound. In my first book, Healing Sounds, I created a formula called frequency, which was the sound, plus intent equals healing. And of course, the healing was the outcome because the book was called Healing Sounds. But if you wanted to say peace or harmony, it's frequency plus intent equals whatever you want. And right now, I am very, very much, my passion, if you like, is helping unify and unite the world through sound, which may sound a little grandiose, but really, it's not.
A worthy goal.
It's a worthy goal, and you get a group of people together who don't know each other, and they begin to even just make an ah sound together. And all of a sudden, there is that interconnecting force. Recently, my wife Andi and I wrote this book called Tantra of Sound, and we use Tantra in the traditional term, which means the interconnecting, if you like, web that unites reality. And the book is about how to use sound to basically connect deeper within yourself and with others. And it's just extraordinary how you can get a group of strangers who make sound together, and all of a sudden you realize the ancient mind in Lakech Alakin, I am you, you are me. And it's so important. So my great passion right now is to see what we can do about changing the majority of consciousness on this planet so that our children's have a better existence than is currently seeming to
and it seems that sound is going to be a big part of that healing process. Anybody that's ever sat in a group, like you say, and even done an om or an ah together, it is astounding how quickly you can't even discern your own voice from others because it becomes unified. It becomes one vibration moving through everybody. It's really, I find it an absolutely amazing experience to participate in. And so using that on a, this is something I've wanted to talk to you about for years, which is family dynamics. You have dad who might be stuck in this glory days of Jimmy Buffett. You've got the kid, Jimi Hendrix, and you've got the kid who is into whatever might be irritating dad the most. Maybe he's into some particular form of rap that's irritating to dad, doesn't like the rhythms or whatnot. And then you have mom who can't stand any of it. Just give her a little bit of new age and some angelic sounds. How do families function in this disharmonic environment? Can you talk a little for a while about this and how we can heal this besides iPods and everyone having their own headset?
Right, and I will acknowledge that my son and I have very, very similar tastes, so that we both like Jimi Hendrix or the Beatles or whatnot. My wife and I, through the Beatles, had a great resonance together, and she and I, of course, not only have created albums together, but New Age, or I'm going to use another term now.
Yeah, that's getting old. New Age is getting old, isn't it?
By gosh and by golly, New Age is running such a gamut that I had turned on a station that was, quote, supposedly New Age, and I got a little country and western fiddle playing, then followed by a Native American drumming, then followed by this and that. And I said, because as you may know, one of my CDs was nominated for a Grammy this year in the traditional world music category. And I have been really tempted now to see if I can communicate with the powers that be at the Grammys to see if we can get a new category, whether you call it sacred music, healing music, music for relaxation or whatnot. But it's very, very different, because if I'm trying to chill out, I do not want to be listening to something that's really fast rhythmically, because it is not going to help my nervous system. Not that it's not great to listen to, and if I'm driving, it's great, but if I'm wanting to sleep, it's a little different.
Yeah. So let's talk about that family dynamic.
Yeah.
How families work together with varying tastes, and someone has control of the remote for the stereo. And what this does to each other and what this means. And I'm asking this because I would like to, as our viewers watch this, maybe understand and learn to have a little more tolerance for each other, because sometimes, the kid needs to hear an intense rhythm for their area of growth at that time.
Right. Their metabolic rate is very different. Their nervous system is very, very different. they want to hear something that's pulsed at 160 beats per minute, while an adult whose nervous system hears something that sounds like a jackhammer might get like this, and the kid gets chilled out. Some years ago, a few years ago, a fellow who had a spiritual nightclub in Dublin flew out, and he visited me. He said, "Would you create spiritually uplifting dance music based upon your chakra chants recording," which is an award-winning recording that I did. And I said, "Sure." So then I had to find somebody who was a little younger than me, so who knew about creating dance music, and we did it. I would only go to a certain point. We went to about 144 beats per minute, which is pretty fast for folks over 40 years old, but folks under, I listen to it and they go, "Oh, this is great meditational music," and I'm going, "What?" So, once again, we're not only are all of us unique vibratory beings, but certainly with our different ages, etc. I remember when I was younger, Rafi, I don't know who's this, if you from 2 to 6 years old, almost every parent would have Rafi as he's sort of like the, the Beatles of the, almost, whatever you call children from 2 to 6 years old.
Well, not
Toddlers,
toddler,
yes,
yeah.
indeed. And it's, just interesting, and I would, play these things, but I think you hit it. Tolerance is it, because we're all unique vibratory beings, and we're not all going to like the same music. So you can either, and if a type of music is particularly disturbing you, then I think you have to really honor that person as well, so that if a music is too loud for a person or disturbing their nervous system and really stressing them out, that's the type of time when you might go, "Hey, would you mind putting on headphones?" Because
Right.
it's not going to happen. I understand the question. I don't have a solution in terms of there being a universal music that everybody can work with, because depending upon the time, the place, and the need of the individual. For example, the music that I create, which for the most part, except for that chakra dance, is very, very pulsed at a slow rate and, designed for relaxation. Well, you don't want to use that if you're doing aerobics.
Right.
Now,
right,
a dear friend of mine who's a doctor uses chakra dance all the time because bum, 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 bum. But the other type of music will, your if you like, physical rhythms, your heartbeat, respiration, brain waves will entrain, will begin to synchronize with this. And therefore, you will not have a lot of strength and power to be doing the various exercise machines that you have if it's very, very slow. So you want to basically use something. You want to use music that is pulsed and works with the different types of activities that you're engaged in.
And it's important to honor that. I mean,
Yeah.
in terms of, what your body needs, and your body is actually, your being is actually asking you to feed it when you want to hear a certain type of music.
Right, sound can be a nutrition. Most
Right.
people are not, however, as aware as you might be about this whole thing, where a lot of people have never thought about the fact that different types of music will elicit different responses. So that, for example, if you walk into a restaurant, and you will oftentimes find that they have very fast, pop music going on. And that's done purposely, so the people eat quickly, because as a friend of mine says, you eat to the beat. And if you want to enjoy your meal, you'll hopefully have something that's nice and soothing and not really fast,
Right.
etc. Because
So you
that's
can chew,
right, that's
digest.
get in there, chew, and get out, in 10
Right.
minutes as opposed to a
Same
half
thing,
hour.
and the vibration of color is paired with that.
Yeah.
So you have a lot of yellows and oranges and reds in the fast food environments because, like the music, it gets you in and out fast. It creates hyperactivity. It's
Yeah.
unnerving to an extent, but digestion isn't the issue. Sales are.
Right, exactly.
Turn those tables quickly. Let's talk about the notion of, and thank you for addressing that. I just think it's important, I think, for all of us to understand that we are each so unique in our need for that vibratory field around us, and not to be too judgmental
Right,
of
not
each
to
other.
make anybody wrong, and
Right.
to realize that at times certain people will need certain things, and also to really honor. The one thing we don't honor is the sonic space around us, so that people will be very, very loud. For example, I mean, there you are sitting at the beach. It's idyllic. You have the sound of the ocean, and the sun is on you, and there's seagulls. And all of a sudden, somebody sits next to you with a really loud boombox playing some really up-tempo music, and it's like, excuse me, but do you realize how invasive that is into my field, and how you're totally decimating this particular vibrational field by sound? People are unaware of really the power of sound to really extraordinarily shift and change not only our consciousness, but really ruin a good time.
Right, and that includes people's voices, especially in the city, where people are competing with each other and are competing with other noise pollutants, and people start developing really loud ranges of speaking voice.
And the other aspect of that is, even if you're, last time I was in New York City, I was seeing a lot of people walking with headphones and all. The sound, as I mentioned from the New York Times article, goes into you on a cellular level.
Right, right.
And therefore, it's, whether you're aware of it or not, there's still detrimental aspects of the sound that are being created. So we really need to be more aware of the power of sound. That's part of what I've been doing for the last 25 years, is making people really aware of the power of sound to heal and transform. And of course, anytime you have any substance that can be used as a positive, beneficial tool, you can also have it used this way. But now there's so many people that I've taught who are teaching this stuff that I'm really now focusing on more of the, if you like, planetary work for trying to heal and create harmony and balance.
Well, let's talk about consciousness, right? I mean, this sounds like a good jumping off point into the field of consciousness. Sound has historically been used for the advancement of one's own consciousness, correct?
Yes, indeed.
And can you talk about how this works and how this actually expands your ability to perceive in your field of awareness?
How many hours?
We have about 10 minutes.
We do a 9-day healing sounds intensive, and at the end of those 9 days, we go from 9 in the morning to about 9 at night, teaching, experiencing, chanting and dancing and drumming and all this stuff for all the different purposes, and it's extraordinary. And it's at the end of 9 days that I feel like we perhaps have scratched the surface. So I'll just suggest that...
we'll just speak about it more theoretically.
Okay.
And we'll play a little bit of some of the sounds from one of your CDs here at the end of this interview, so people can stay tuned, close their eyes, and listen for a bit.
Oh, nice. But I'd like to suggest that I really began getting into this on a very, very left-brain logical level of frequencies and what different frequencies do to our physical body, our nervous system, our emotional state, this, that, and the other thing. And I'm still very, very aware of this, and I utilize different tones, different intervals all the time. But as I began to explore the realm of sound, of course, the realm of what could be considered sacred sound with different mantras, different chants, different divine languages, sacred languages being used. And I began to realize the power also of these mantras, these chants, from whatever tradition. You find that basically there are sacred chants found in almost every tradition on the planet.
Right.
And I'm very
from Gregorian,
right,
all the way Native American, Tibetan,
Hindu, Aramaic, Islamic, we can go on and on. And I'm very non-sectarian, so many of my different recordings either are, one will be a Judeo-Christian one, another one will be a Tibetan one, or I will combine the Hebrew, Tibetan, and Hindu mantras simultaneously going.
Right.
And there is something about these sacred sounds which, when coupled with what we call psychoacoustics, or the effects of frequencies on the brain, seem to me to really have the extraordinary ability of amplifying all the, if you like, the frequency plus intent, just really work together beautifully. So most of my recordings employ not only the frequencies or the tones, but also the sacred mantras. and it's extraordinarily
Oh,
powerful.
and some of them are. I've heard some.
Yeah.
I've heard a number of them actually. But the sound that some people find initially discordant is that of, say, the Tibetan monks.
Yes,
That
yes.
deep rumbling, and you have mastered that. You can generate that with your own voice, and just an incredible sound. And at first, it's what is that? But what's actually going on there?
Okay, that's a great question, and I have a semi-humorous story first, and we may have to cut this, but this is sort of what we're going to be talking about, the Tibetan deep voices.
It's almost like a didgeridoo.
Yes, very much so. And basically, a real quick story was that I recorded the Gyume Tibetan monks. They were, it was first time in the United States. We brought them into the recording studio. I recorded them, and then I went into my meditation room that night. I basically had a cassette of the recording. I woke up the next morning and I had the deep voice, which is supposed to take them 10 years to get to receive. But then people in my presence, oftentimes, I wouldn't be surprised if at the end of this interview,
my voice projects better.
No, you might even be doing the deep voice, but okay. I've often been, if you like, fascinated by that as a voice, because not only is it an extraordinarily powerful voice,
yes,
and perhaps a primordial voice, but I've just really, really loved it. And I remember one time I was doing a presentation to a group of nuns on sound and how sound can be used for healing. I played examples of different chants and mantras from different traditions, and all of a sudden I played the Tibetan deep voice, and several of the nuns literally ran out of the room. And I was at a loss. And all of a sudden I realized what had gone down.
I can almost guess. Go ahead.
Okay. In the 1970s and 1980s, there were a number of filmmakers who will remain anonymous who used as a soundtrack when there were satanic rituals going on. Two pieces of music, Carmina Barada, and the Tibetan deep voice.
Right.
So you'd see some horrific image with these sounds.
And I think a lot of people associate it with that, not just the nuns.
No.
Yeah.
So, but that was just what happened to me is
Yeah.
I came to that realization. A lot of people have, and thinking that there's something very dark when really, on a level, the sound is one of the most extraordinary purifying tones that exists on the planet.
Very deep impact.
Right. So it's, how we respond to sound. This is a whole nother level, but how we respond to sounds that we haven't heard. This, whether it's programming or whatnot. I mean, it's, now you see these songs that are used for advertising on TV, and in the Carmina Barada, I've seen it, excuse me, I've seen used now for various commercials and this and that. Or, and if something is used and people begin to accept that these new strange sounds, it's really interesting, which is why I like to say that my work involves a little bit of entertainment, a little bit of education, a little bit of enlightenment, but you need the education. And most of the CDs that I create have booklets in between 16 and 32 pages in length, so that the person who's listening can read about what these sounds represent.
Yes, that's wonderful. Wonderful service, really. So what about Hemisync? The whole notion of Hemisync and using sound and tonalities to synchronize the right and left hemispheres of the brain. I find this kind of an interesting subject.
Well, excuse me, sorry about that one, and we hope
it'll be all right. You're human.
I'm one of actually the first people to have brought that to the consciousness of the planet in a 1986 article that I wrote that's been republished and is on our website called Sonic Entrainment. But I was basically trying to find different ways that sounds could be used to change and shift, if you like, vibrational levels or consciousness or whatnot. And there was this fellow by the name of Robert Monroe. Who basically began to have these out-of-body experiences. And what happened was he tried to find a sound that would trigger the out-of-body experiences. He was not successful in doing that, but what he found was that, if you have a slightly different, let's say sound is measured in cycles a second, if I have a 100 cycles a second in this ear and 104 in this ear, the predominant lobes of the brain will basically vibrate to the 4 cycle a second difference between these two. And I thought, well, this is really, really fascinating. And I have utilized this on a couple of different recordings, one in particular called the Tantra of Sound Harmonizer, which to my knowledge is the first recording that balances not only your brain waves but the chakras simultaneously. So I think that this is very, very good, and yet there's a great responsibility letting people know, so that, for example, at the flip side of the CD cover, it says, do not use while driving or operating heavy machinery. Because,
very true. It does entrain the brain, and you are immediately transported to another brain state. I use them. I use a particular one for studying.
Pythagorean tuning forks, or my other recordings I see in front of me, the Lost Chord, for instance. You sit and you listen to these things, and they're extremely powerful. The Lost Chord is all based upon the phi ratio.
Right.
And that's the one that has the Tibetan, Hindu, and Hebrew simultaneously going up the chakras, and the Tree of Life, which is a Judeo-Christian, if you like, mystic, a woman by the name of Carolyn Mace, put them both together, and I really like that a whole lot. So there are other ways besides purely this of inducing different states of consciousness, and a lot of it, again, is also the intentionality of the person creating the sound. So I'm always really, really aware that the sounds that I'm making will be, when I'm doing something for a recording, will be received by other people. So if, and I make offerings and ask that the greatest, good be achieved through the sounds that I create, and if somehow I'm feeling off and I don't feel like I am being a true conduit for sacred sound, I will not record.
No, that makes perfect sense. You don't want to be poisoning any wells out there. Now, you recently also were teaching at a large conference on Reiki healing. Can you talk about how these vibrations go together?
Yes, well, about a year ago, I was at the first International Sound Reiki Conference in Sedona, and someone, a Frenchman, gave out these ancient chants that were said to be the embodiment of the Reiki symbols, and he did it very, very fast, so it'd be like, and I said, and I realized, and I got the power of it, but I thought, wouldn't it be great if I could create a recording that had these mantras on them, but did it in such a fashion so that they were extremely not only powerful still with the, if you like, intentionality of the energy of the Reiki chants and the Reiki symbols on them, but also beautiful to listen to. And it took me practically a year to do this. This one recording, which was just released about a month ago, called Reiki Chance, came out, but there are 3 other complete full CDs that basically were the same chants done in different keys, with different instrumental backing, with different harmonics used, with different melodic lines used, with different scales used. And I would try them on myself and my dear wife Andi and other people, and we'd sort of do tests. We would, beta test them to see which were not only the most effective, but which were the most listenable. Because, just because something is a, quote, healing sound, if you can't listen to it,
it's not going to heal much.
Right. So this one I'm really proud of, because I think it's the most beautiful recording that I've...
the one that's called Reiki Chance?
Reiki Chance, and really, really like it.
If you like that best, maybe that's the one we'll end it. Would you like us to run that one at the end? You choose. What would you like people to experience for a few minutes at the end of this interview?
Probably Ultimate Om.
Ultimate Om.
Probably Ultimate Om, because that's the most universal.
I have it at home, so that's
right,
easy
and it's also on this, recording over here of Frequencies, which is an excerpt of 13 of my different ones, but Ultimate Om seems to just be so very, very nice and very, very calming. But Reiki Chance I like a lot. It's almost as though, what if the I don't know who else, perhaps you can give me a name, but what's the name of the only great choral group that I can think of is the Mormon Tabernacle.
Well, that's the first one that pops to mind.
So I said, it's like, what if the Mormon Tabernacle Choir were chanting these sacred Tamado Oriental chants, but the Mormon Tabernacle Choir has unto itself a certain vibe.
Right.
So I'm at this moment, big question mark, the blank choir doing these wonderful, because it's really sonically quite gorgeous.
It is gorgeous, and it has a profound effect. I mean, for me personally, I immediately feel it come, boom, and go right into the heart.
Yeah.
Very well, beautiful body of work, incredible career, and then we'll make sure that everybody has a chance to hear a little bit of this in just a minute, and they can look right underneath this little window. They're seeing you and see the rest of your CDs and books, etc. And thank you so much for your time.
Well, thank you. And one last thing that
Sure.
I didn't mention, but it's really one of the main focuses of my work. We all have the most extraordinary instrument for healing. It doesn't require electricity, doesn't require batteries, you don't need a CD player, don't need, the owner's manual is relatively easy to use, and that is, we can all use our voice as an instrument for healing. That's different than getting up and singing Strangers in the Night in front of an audience. That's entertainment. But we can all use sound to basically resonate different parts of our bodies, our chakras, our energy fields, whatever term you want. And I just want to, as a last statement, just remind those who are listening that you too can use your own sound for healing. It'll be one of the more extraordinary experiences once you begin to make these sounds and feel them. It's a reawakening of your own personal, divine, goddess-given power.
To find out more about sound healing and purchase one of Jonathan's many incredible CDs, just click on the link below the video window. Until next time, thanks for watching.